At any rate, I talked about earlier in the week that in 2010, Shannon was at CBS on their NFL Today show, and he was accused again of assault a bit. He was taken off air at this time, and the woman accusing him was an ex relationship situation. Her name was Michelle. And what was alleged was that she said that she found out he was cheating on her. And when she confronted him about it, he forced her down to her knees, made her give him oral sex, and then forced her to have sex with him. She said that after that, when she wanted to break up, because she wanted to break up with him, he then began to stalk her. Um, so that case happened. He was taken off the CBS broadcast. He was dormant for a few years until he started popping back up on First Take. And we know what happened with that. He ended up at FS1. So what they're saying is that at FS1, there also was a suit that, well, some allegations that came out from a production assistant where she claims that he strangled her. None of that was created into a lawsuit, but there was supposedly a six-figure settlement off the books. FS1 supposedly has no comment on it. Shannon's lawyer alluded to it, but I don't know. Now we're starting to see what might be considered a pattern. It's pretty hard to say because a lot of this was in the context of what he is deeming consensual relationships, not unlike Diddy and his freak offs, where they are into an alternative sex lifestyle. I personally think that some of the texts that she was sending to him and the conversations sounds like a a song, a dom sub relationship. Let me slow down. It's Saturday morning, y'all. Where, a little bit of S&M, and his lawyer has alluded to that. He did say that he feels like this is a shakedown. They said that now there's a little bit of back and forth about the $10 million settlement that was allegedly offered. I have heard two things. I've heard that Tony Busby sent that when he initially sent off the letter, because these negotiations started before the announcement of the $100 million deal that was on the table somewhere, could potentially happen for his podcast network of Club Shay Shay and Nightcap, of course. But the thing with that is they were already talking. Now, did Tony Busby say, hey, for 10 million, we can make this go away? Or was his lawyer trying to prevent more details of Shannon's sex life from coming out there? Because Gabby, that is the young lady's name, alleged in her filing that when the audio Instagram video came out of he and Michelle, that was what caused her to want to break up with him, and he wouldn't let her do it. So more on that in a second, because there's also some other stuff in the mix where DJ Academics and a couple of other people have played some footage, some audio, I should say, allegedly, of Matt Barnes talking a couple of months ago about Shaq and Shannon Sharpe's beef. To give some backstory, they had a little tiff. Shannon Sharpe was critical of Shaq's handling of the Joker during the MVP conversations and saying that he felt that Shay should have received the MVP and all of these things. So they've had a little back and forth going. But in this audio that I am going to play for you, actually, a little bit, that it is being alleged that Matt Barnes said on a live stream some months ago, that Shaq is paying for information allegedly on Shannon Sharpe, and that Shaq was the domino that maybe kicked this situation off. Again, this is all alleged. And some are saying, I saw online that Matt Barnes has denied that this is him, or that the audio is distorted, altered, could be AI. I haven't been able to locate that. I'm still trying to find it, but I will play you some of this audio of Matt Barnes allegedly saying that, Shaq is a snitch. And the thing about that is that if you know, it has been alleged not even allege, because I know some things factually, that Shaq will what some consider dirty Mac, right? Or he might be having someone else's back. It depends on which angle you take of the situation. But we know that people also feel like, Shaq can be petty. We've seen Shaq be petty. And oh, by the way, Shaq has addressed this leaked audio. I'll play that for you too. But let me get into this academics thing. So, and you let me know what you think. I kind of feel like, look, it is what it is. Maybe it's altered, maybe it's chopped up. You never can tell these days, but something definitely was in the mix with this audio. So let me mute myself. How do I make this big and me small? Well, I'm going to play it for you. So here we go.
On this kind of time, but I was in a group chat the other day, or actually just yesterday, and Shaq said he's paying top dollar for any information on old boy. So again, I don't know if you're on that kind of time or not, but Shaq is known to throw large sums of money around. So just want to put that out there.
So
ain't quiet.
There's more.
Hey, he said, please, please, please keep it quiet. He said that Shannon did some shit back to him a while back, and he's been off him. So that's why he's doing this. But please, please, please keep his name quiet.
So
to that.
That's what this is the conversation what Shannon was saying about Shaq. But whatever to that. Is it true? Could it have happened? Maybe. But I suppose if there was nothing out there to pick up on, he wouldn't have anything to spread money and do. So Shaq, for his part, what I can say, caught wind of it and addressed it on his Instagram and on his other social media and made a joke out of it. However, if you recall, a couple of months back, there was a young lady who said that she was hanging out, which is another thing, curiously. Okay, this is a sidebar. This is just me thinking out loud. I'm not saying it's true, but Shaq also seems to deal with women right now that are considerably younger than him as well. And like Matt said, Shaq has been known to sometimes, maybe, possibly, allegedly, dirty Mac. Does Gabby know Shaq? I don't know. I'm not saying that's true. But what I will do is I will show you Shaq addressing the rumored Matt Barnes leak video and how he kind of, took some of the sting, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, off of the situation. Yeah, so let me put this one on. Listen, it's so much going on with this. I really think that we got to start as people. If you're a freak, you're a freak. Like, we listen, we don't judge. I'm not gonna kink shame or get into all of that. Nobody would want whatever they're doing in the bedroom to get out into the public discourse. However, you got to think smarter than that. I'm gonna get into what Mace said about playing in the snow and Shannon playing in the snow, because I feel like, well, I'm gonna play what Shaq did as the joke, and then I'm going to give a little bit of backstory, in my opinion, at least, on Shannon Sharpe and where he sits right now as far as the culture and stuff. So let me go ahead and get into that.
All right, go. Hey, this is Shaq. I'm paying top dollar information. You know where Charles Barkley's at?
Yeah, I know where Charles is at. I got him.
All right, I'm also paying information. You know where Kenny the Jet Smith at?
Yes, I got Kenny too. I know exactly where he's at.
Okay, now this one right here, get you going. I'm gonna give you some motherfucking big dollars. Do you know where Ernie Johnson is at?
Ooh, let me work on that one right quick. That's a tough one.
All right, and remember, I'm paying top dollar for all that information. Love you, boy. All right, hey, don't tell.
So he's addressing it, and like I said, there was a couple months ago that a young lady was at a hotel room, I guess with Shaq. She seemed pretty young from her social media. And by pretty young, I mean in her 20s. And she was dropping clues that she was dealing with Shaq. She showed some things about him. And so Shaq put out a video kind of making fun of it, like him and other people like taking photos. I can't remember. There was like little things like his name on the hotel bill. Old girl was like, Shaq, you're not about to play me. Of course, she probably played herself out of position, but you do what you do. Hey, and if you guys have a comment on any of this, feel free to hit me up in the chat. Let me know what you think. I know I was having some audio issues earlier, so let me know if I'm still having audio issues. I don't think I am because you guys seem locked in. But if you have any commentary. But anyway, so Shaq made a joke out of it. The point I'm trying to make is even though he made a joke playing it off, it was true. Now, I don't know if this is true, but what is true is Shaq has been known to throw around, to get in the mix with things, I should say, with other players and be petty. And of course, we've seen some of the conversations and things that he's done about current players. So if you think it's possible, we'll see. But he's obviously denying it. And as I mentioned, I can't find proof or validation of it. I'm going to continue looking, but supposedly Matt has come out and said that the audio is been crazy altered and what have you. So we will have to see how all that comes out. Now, I also mentioned that there was some commentary from Mace on It Is What It Is. And so Mace was basically like, everybody wants to play in the snow, but they don't know what the blizzard's really like. And, what the old folks used to say, people don't believe fat meat is greasy. So I know Shannon Sharpe, obviously an NFL Hall of Famer, came into the league in the 90s, set all types of records, Super Bowls, all of that. But there's a couple of things with it. We know that his children's mothers are from Black women, but let's be real. Let's be clear. If you know anything about Shannon and his dating habits, although he has come out and spoken about he likes all women, and I'm sure he does, he seemed to have a particular interest in others. It's what it is. That's, your body, your choice, whatever. But I think some of that comes from the belief, and this was really in the 90s, a lot of athletes see, especially NFL players, for whatever reason, you could point to OJ from the start, had a belief that Black women were gold diggers, that they couldn't advance dating Black women, that they were all of these things or whatever. And they made it a point to date out. We've seen those conversations. We know what it is. We know how it is for. However, I think with Shannon, although he was very popular, Hall of Famer, like I said, on TV as an analyst, he was on CBS, it's a conservative network, and it was at the start of social media. Obviously, when he got on FS1 with Skip, social media was the thing, and his unk persona and all of those things took off. And I think this new breed of women is different, right? And I think that he got caught up. He got caught up in the situation and was a little too excited, a little too into things. And he's clearly the freakiness, those things have been going on for quite some time. But I think he thought he was a little more secure with the younger women. I don't know if the money, because the reality is money can control whatever age level if that's what somebody's on, right? And you can find a freak at any age level. I'm sure you've seen the clips of Monique telling him he needed a big Southern girl that could cook and was going to make him some apple butter biscuits after they got through hitting it a time or two and all of those things. But what Shannon wanted was the young chicks. He would be on Nightcap with Ocho Cinco talking about how he wanted Miss B Nasty, who was in her 20s. Right there, you already knew what the deal was. But when he was interviewing Young Miami on Club Shay Shay, he kind of bypassed when she was kind of, giving him flavor. She even put something out there. I can't remember, some type of tweet the other night. So, maybe he should have gone that route. Who knows? But I'm going to play you what Mace had to say because I thought that it was interesting because obviously Mace has been in the industry. He is obviously in a different space now, even though he's a podcast bro. I say that with love because I enjoy It Is What It Is. But he's a married man, has been for several years. And he said he is not in the life anymore. But he pointed this out, and his standpoint is people always, or men, seem to think that white women or others move that they treat you different. And in some ways, I think they are socialized differently in certain aspects of it. But Mace's point is just because it's different doesn't mean that it's better. So let's get into what he had to say. Let me see which one of these it is. It's this one. Okay. Nope, not that one. And then Shannon was still defending himself, messing with other girls the other night on Nightcap. I'm gonna play that for you. It was he, Chad, and ISO Joe Johnson that used to play in the L. So they were, doing their playoff breakdown. But he started talking about they were talking about Tracee Ellis Ross, which we're gonna talk about. And he was like, "Yeah, people get mad at me, sir. There's a difference." I don't know. I mean, you do what you do. It's legal. Is it moral? Who knows? But 20 and 53, 54, yikes. But this is what Mace had to say about it. So we're going to get into that.
Yeah, you gotta still. I mean, you got a lot of money. You can't really date in the snow unless you're gonna marry. That is because they don't play by the same rules. They didn't have the same upbringing. So their mindset is to do whatever you ask, because when it goes wrong, they're gonna want their half.
I'm not even gonna just say it's just a snow thing. Even just to this case, like ESPN, like if you are working for Disney, there's no Disney After Dark. Like you have to know your role. I'm just saying, like
right.
you
That's
gotta know
very
what
true.
role you're in. Like certain people.
So here's the thing, and the Disney point is excellent. I believe, all of these contracts we know have morality clauses in them, and they can enact them at any given time. It's kind of at their discretion, but because the terms are broad, if you make the brand look bad in any light, if you outside of us do things that cause us to be looked at in a certain manner, we can take you off air. So he hasn't been fired yet. He is, it's not being called a suspension because he's saying that he voluntarily stepped away and that he will return for NFL preseason. In some ways, you could say it makes sense because he's a football player. Does he need to be there for the NBA Finals? But we know how closely he's been tied to the Lakers and LeBron James these past few years, as far as from an analyst fan perspective. So we'll have to see what ultimately develops with that, and if he does end up back with ESPN in the fall. The flip side of that is we are in the new media era. Just like I'm talking to you on YouTube right now, we know Shannon has a YouTube channel, Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. Those were the entities that were up. He had an initial deal with Volume Sports, which is Colin Cowherd's podcast company, sorry, and that deal is up. So what does the market look like for him under these circumstances? Well, we know this market is a little more loose in some ways about what they're willing to accept, what they will sponsor. But Shannon was moving in high places and spaces. He had just had, I believe, a cover story with Variety about his budding media empire. And so what happens now? He's still doing Nightcap. He's live streamed from the draft, or not from the draft, during the draft the other day. It was he and Chad. They were taking questions. Like I mentioned, I'm going to show you this video with Joe. Like all of these old videos of Shannon are popping back up. I think one of the things that happened on Nightcap, though, was that because it's late night and obviously he was plugging his cognac there too, and some liquid stimulants and whatever else, I think he got a little too comfortable there too. And all of that comfort is now coming back up for everyone to examine and point to and point out how this matches up with that or that could. So I'll let you get a little taste of that long video. And then after that, we'll get into Shedeur Sanders because, look, I know Stephen A. said it's Deion's fault. I don't think it's Deion's fault, but I think part of it is they're trying to get some get back on Deion and what he has been able to do. And this is a side, I might as well talk about it a little bit, but also the fact that in college, especially a player like Shedeur, he was bringing in NIL money. He was shifting the culture. Do people really want to deal with that in the NFL? They kind of want to put you in his place. Him dropping to the third round of the draft is crazy. But I'm going to play you Shannon defending dating young just the other night. And it's like, sir, I feel you, but maybe not now. Maybe just back away from those topics. I don't know. Let's see. Let me get to it. All right.
Men, they killed me. What they said, what the women, what? Yeah, what I said when the younger women, what I said.
All stubborn.
Oh, when I want to date, when I want to date younger women, what they say, Ocho? Oh, I'm a creep. Oh, what they call that? What they call that when a man like I'm grooming. That's the term they use with me. Yeah. Grooming. But
so I mean, I think Shannon needs to fall back, and we'll see what happens with this case. It looks bad, though. No matter which way you slice it, it looks bad. Mace said that in a Black woman, he would have had some child support maybe, but he wouldn't have been paying nowhere near the 10 million or the 50 million that she's trying to get now. I do think that it would have potentially be handled differently, but I don't even know if it's just about him being with a Black woman. I think he needed to be with somebody older, and you can find somebody that can scratch that particular itch in every age group. But you wanted to be out here running around with these young girls because you think that they don't have the same hangups. And let's be clear, probably you could probably control them with less money. Like it's probably, I shouldn't say control, because it's not as if young girls don't have a mind of their own or things of that nature, but you could probably get away with some things easier. Or maybe they're in a different space, because I think the constructs around monogamy and relationships seem to be a little bit different, but that's a conversation for another day. The phone is obviously going off. So we'll see what develops. Every day it's something more. Shannon's lawyer has come out and said that the information about his ex from 2010 that is resurfaced when she resued him in 2023 for defamation, because he talked about that suit, I guess, in an interview or somewhere. And he basically said that she was a stalker trying to do too much when he broke things off with her. And he also, via his lawyer, has alluded to the fact that the woman, her Michelle, I think Bundy is her last name, that she went to jail or was charged with trying to off her husband because she wanted to be in a relationship with Shannon, like some craziness. But these are the things that Shannon's lawyer is putting out. And so the question becomes, are you vigorously defending yourself because people are coming at you with some heinous accusations from what you were saying are consensual acts? Or are you victim shaming and trying to expose and bully the victim? So for her part, Michelle has said that the reason why she settled that previous case in a few years back, I guess maybe 2023, was because someone sent her a threatening motion or something, and you're exposed as a individual that doesn't have as much power and access to money and fame, and that she was basically frightened. So we'll have to see what happens with that part of it. And really quickly, before we get out of here, I got to talk about all of this drama with Tracee Ellis Ross, because I don't understand. There are a number of people defending Shannon in various forms. Like I said, listen, you are free to do what you want to do at what age. You just have to think smarter and what you have to lose. And that's inside. But people are really mad, especially Corey Holcomb, at Tracee Ellis Ross. Like, he went in on Tracee about her being single, basically that she's washed up and nobody would want her. And I just feel like, why? Does Corey really genuinely like women? Because here's the thing, not that you're giving your commentary. I'm giving my commentary too. I'm not, oblivious to that fact, but dog, you sound like you don't even really enjoy women. You sound angry, mad, upset, like, out of here. And I just wonder why he's so bitter, why he seems to be so affected. Now, he mentioned when he was on Club Shay Shay, he talked about how he liked a young, dumb, broke chick because they weren't going to need too much. And Shannon pushed back on that. And here we are a couple of months later. But I'll let you hear a little bit of what Corey had to say. And do you think he's right? I personally don't. I think that a woman, especially a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross, who has grown up wealthy, been exposed to a worldly lifestyle, lived all over the world, was a model, has different experiences and different things. So she doesn't have to settle. Compromise is different from settling. You are always going to compromise in a relationship, a successful relationship. There are going to be times when you are going to not move in the same way because you want to make sure that you are appeasing your mate. But I don't know. I think that Corey is just mean. And I want to know who hurt him. I know he's talked about child support and his baby mama things, but has he ever sat on a therapist's couch? Because he's a comedian, and if you're dropping these type of jokes, they should at least be funny. And that's my thing. It's not like it's funny. You're a comedian. Make me laugh if you're going to talk mess like that. He's not even doing that. But let's check out a little bit of what he had to say.
The older ones, 45 and up. I'm going to go that high. 45 and up. They good with dogs and elderly people, or they might mess with somebody who's young and impressionable, because that way they can be held up as they pretend themselves to be. But when you're around a man is going to call you for who you are. I don't give a fuck if you're Tracee Ellis Ross. Tracee Ellis Ross can get it. And like Kevin Samuel said about her a long time ago, a nigga will walk down the street with that.
She's 52. Somebody was saying 60.
Who is virtuous. None of them chose you. So now, at 52, with your arrogant ass, you dating the puppies of the hood. Let me tell you something. These broads out here, especially the older ones, 45 and up. I'm gonna go that high. 45. It don't matter how old she is. She can get it, and a nigga might walk down the street with her. Even though right there she looked tripped out to me.
She looked just like somebody I know.
So, I mean, he just went in and on and in and on. And his basic stance is, if you're over 40, you washed up, nobody wants you. And it's like, you are considerably over 40 and you out here getting with young girls, but you want props for that. So I don't know, Corey, you probably should leave that topic alone. But let me know what you think about all of this Shannon Sharpe stuff. If you have an opinion, do you think that he just picked the wrong one? Are you okay with him going after young people? Do you care? Because I feel like between the Michelle drops and this, I know way too much about what goes on in Shannon's bedroom. And the sad thing about that is, again, I'm not going to kink shame. I'm not going to judge. Well, I'm going to judge a little bit, but I'm going to let you cook. I'm going to let him cook. The sad thing about it is he is such maybe was a beloved figure and respected. Does this take the shine off of him as far as a respected individual? Obviously, it's not taking anything away from his Hall of Fame accolades and what he's accomplished, but does it make you look at him differently because you know that he has freaks after dark, full-blown dog collars and what might be a little bit of role play, because there was a lot of use of big black man and tiny, like way too much of that for my comfort. I'm like, Shannon, let me find out you in there letting these women call you the word. All right, y'all. I hope you have a good Saturday. I will catch up with you later. Remember, every Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm on KBLA Talk.